on earth has ever insulted me. I repeat, ever since God guided me, no wise person on earth has ever insulted me.
Malamuti asemwe wallahi obi afanko adwindwinimu without the hadith muntieni without the hadith you can't even know say when na ye Quran no muntie kasa na make you without the hadith you can't know say this is the Quran. You can never know the Quran without the hadith.
And then you koda na sa de bechi nti me kasa history be any way authentic this Quran.
History be any way
because every history has been touched. It can be changed. Even the hadith are Quran. There are some hadiths are totally into your great hadith no your Hasan, your Sahih, your muttafaqun alayhi, your da'if.
Malamuti asemwe wallahi obi afanko adwindwinimu without the hadith muntieni without the hadith you can't even know say when na ye Quran no muntie kasa na make you without the hadith you can't know say this is the Quran. You can never know the Quran without the hadith.
And then you koda na sa de bechi nti me kasa history be any way authentic this Quran.
History be any way
because every history has been touched. It can be changed. Even the hadith are Quran. There are some hadiths are totally into your great hadith no your Hasan, your Sahih, your muttafaqun alayhi, your da'if.
Said, ever since God guided me, no wise person on earth has ever insulted me. I repeat, ever since God guided me, no wise person on earth has ever insulted me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to enjoy this show. Okay? So here, this book of Salat, you can see here, they say the book of Salat, right? The prayer. Now, this is Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari 349, narrated by Abu Dhar. He said, Allah's messenger said, whilst I was at Makkah...
No. Please read the text itself. Read the text itself, not translation. Read the text itself.
Siddik, listen to me carefully. I'm a questioner. You don't tell me how to question you. Listen to
no.
logic.
We are dealing with the hadith. What you are reading is not hadith.
Show me in the rules where we said somebody...
Is it not hadith you are reading?
I said, Siddik, listen to logic here. Show me
there's no logic in what you are doing.
Rules. Show me in the rules where it says I must read your hadith book in Arabic. Tell me.
The hadith is Arabic. The hadith is Arabic.
I said show me in the rules.
We didn't also say that we are going to read translation. So
if you are quoting hadith, I'm a questioner. Are you going to teach me how to question you?
Is the translation hadith? Is the translation a hadith?
Siddik, are you going to teach me how to question you?
You are questioning me on the hadith and you are not saying the hadith.
Can you shut your beak? Let me talk. Let me finish my question.
Okay, so simple, guys, as you can see, he cannot read the Arabic again.
No problem. I've never been to school, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot read. Let the wise decide for themselves. I'm going to read the comedy book. See it for yourself. Can you mute your mic, please?
He cannot read. So continue with your
translation.
I don't believe that is the hadith. So
no problem.
I don't believe what you are reading is hadith. So you can't ask me a question on that.
When you come, you read it to your people and then tell them if I'm lying. Can you mute your mic? Let me make my point.
Go ahead.
Okay. So their own translation is translated by their own Sunni scholar, Muhsin Khan, right? Muhammad Muhsin Khan. This is a translation. So when he comes to answer, let him read all these jumbles here and explain it. So now this is here. Narrated by Abu Dhar. He says, Allah's messenger said, this is God forbid. God's messenger will never say this garbage thing here. Wallahi lazim.
Go ahead with your question. You are not lecturing. You are not lecturing. Go ahead with your question.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm reading the question.
Ask the question and stop lecturing.
Siddik, why are you interrupting me? I don't understand.
You are lecturing instead of asking a question. So that is it.
You came preaching instead of a debate. You were preaching earlier when we started.
Go ahead. Simple. Go ahead with the question. Go ahead.
Jama, look at what is going on here.
You have the platform. Go ahead with the question.
But Siddik, don't interrupt me.
So go ahead with the question. I will interrupt you if you deviate. That is part of the.
Are you upset with the hadith or me?
Go ahead, ask question and don't give lectures. Simple.
Can you stop interrupting? Then I can read.
So read.
Please mute your mic for the sake of argument. When you are talking, I mute my mic. Can you mute your mic?
Read. Go ahead. Siddik, I'm not talking.
Mute your mic.
It is said in the rules, simple, that when you deviate, you'll be brought back to correction.
Mute your mic.
That is not part of the rule. So read.
Subhanallah. Siddik is upset with the hadith. Okay, no problem.
I feel like crying, eh?
I love MUSHRIK.
I have not gone to any Islamic university. No Islamic school, no Islamic college, no Islamic university, but I'm giving talks. Thousands are coming, 10,000 are coming. I don't know Arabic as a language, number two. I'm not Hafizul Quran. Many people think I'm Hafizul Quran, I'm not.
Yes. 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 Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Peace be upon you all. Thank you all for being present. This is the page of babashuaib, the correctional officer. You all know when I come here to handle a bozo, you know what is going to happen. Last time I kept him alive when I handled him in terms of doing the rebuttal against him. This time is just RIP. So kindly help me put RIP Siddik Bozo, right? Just as you see on top of the page, RIP Siddik Bozo. And that's why I'm wearing red. I'm here to bury him alive. So assalamu alaikum. You all, thank you all for coming. I know you've seen the intro, you've seen the videos I played, you've seen the Ghana Abadan 4 I played, and you've seen everything, right? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Abidin Sharifa. Thank you. I appreciate your presence for being around to witness this, entertainment or entertaining show. So first of all, I would say salam to Tariq Ayub, Tujis, the realist, I see you. Salam to you as well. Vora Vora says, kill him for me, Baba. Vora. I'm going to bury him. Don't worry. Baba Sedudaga Kasalam. Sanusi Aziz, I see you. Salam. Kais Najat, I see you. Musa Said Salam. Nul, Salam. Suyini Jabani, I see you. Yes. Wahab Wadil, I see you. Busagri Sugri, I see you. Salam to Abdul Samad, Ibrahim Mohammed, Irene Safia, Salis Jimmy Naganka, present. K Sharif, Musa Khan, I see you. Yes, I see you all. Thank you all. Kaiser, Sister Zainab, Tikas, I see you. Thank you all for coming. Kindly write for me RIP Siddik Bozo. Kindly write it for me because I'm going to, bury him alive. So kindly hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo. That's what I want you to write because I want it to trend in such a way that even his scholars will make him resign. Like he doesn't have to be in the level of scholarship at all. And I'll give you the reasons why I'm saying this. I'll break everything down and you'll be amazed of what is happening, right? Yeah. So let's move on from today's breakdown. Now, bear in mind, this is the post-debate, right? Post-debate checkup on the emotional mushrik, that is AKA the SALAFIYYA BOZO. So kindly write RIP Siddik Bozo. Hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo. You'll be amazed after this end of this program, you'll be amazed what is going to happen to this guy. So kindly help me write that, right? So salam to you all. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate your presence. Thank you all for the support. And let's take away our path to God and then make all the believers rejoice, inshallah. Now, remember, it is Muslims against mushriks. You all know he's a Salafi, right? So you should understand that it's Muslims against mushriks. So there's a big difference. Okay. So for people who are thinking it's a Muslim versus a Muslim fight, no, a Muslim, we don't fight. It is Muslim versus a mushrik. And you all saw if you watch the debate. So I'm going to give the post debate and you get to understand. Yeah. I'll try my best. Null, I'll try my best to see what I can do. Dangana Ngadi, I see you all. Thank you all for coming. Bimbo, Akim, thank you all for coming. I see you, LV, Gongoli, Tariq Ayub, Kaisar, so Jeff Higgins, Shamsuddin, I see you all. So this is the end of my salams, right? I can't keep saying salams, and so I apologize if I'm not able to mention your name from this time onwards, right? Kindly forgive me for this, right? So this is the post-debate checkup on the emotional mushrik, aka the Salafiyya BOZO, that is Siddik BOZO. You all saw the debate which we had on the 19th of August, and people were wondering, why didn't I do post-debate afterwards? No. A winner doesn't have to do a post-debate at once. You have to give the chance for the loser to come and, people to console him. So I was looking around and I see only the mushriks consoling him, telling him congratulations, and I'm yet to find out in which part of the debate were they congratulated. Was it the introduction? Was it the presentation? Was it the rebuttals? Was it cross-examination? Which part of the debate were they actually congratulating him? I'm yet to find out. So we are going to find out today if this guy actually was my match or not. Now, if you remember clearly, for those who have watched the debate, we call it a personal attack debate, right? The mushrik was the one doing the personal attack, and I was defending the Quran and Islam. That's what we are. And don't forget that even though it was a debate between Siddik the BOZO and I, he had his brother as a backup lawyer. His brother is also studying law with him, right? So the brother was the same place, sitting next to him, right? So the brother was his helper. If he needed something, the brother would give it to him. So the brother is the one helping Siddik in the debate as well. So imagine a mushrik BOZO having his brother, who is also a lawyer, next to him, helping him, and still BOZO was not able to prove to us why or how does the hadith explain the Quran, which is quite unfortunate. So he is saying that, remember, his library was out of service because he was embarrassed to sit in front of the library because he knew I would embarrass him, right? So intentionally move away slightly from the library, his library, so-called library, because of the garbage books. So he moved slightly away, but at the end of the day, he exposed himself by showing the library again, and then his brother normally stretches to take the book of hadith for him to read, right? So don't forget, Siddik had a backup support, right? That was his brother, and that didn't avail him in no good. So what happened is, I'm going to put on this the debate rules and regulations we had. I'm going to put it on the screen for you to see, right? Then I move on with the topic. So when I put it, you yourself will get to read, because this is one of the things that Siddik was scared to share on the screen, because he's embarrassed. He's thinking, oh no, I shouldn't share this. The people will laugh at me, right? So let me put it on the screen for you all to see, right? Okay, so this is it on the screen. Now you can see clearly siddiksalis versus babashuaib. Does the hadith explain the Quran or not? This is why we were debating. So 2 minutes introduction, 2 minutes introduction, and representation. So you have to make an introduction and show what you represent. Then we have 15 minutes of presentations. Then we had 10 minutes of rebuttals from the presentations. That's the agreement. You have to do the rebuttal from the person's presentation. That is what you have to do, right? So Siddik is boasting to say he's a graduate and he knows English. And he's claiming to be a graduate of the University of Ghana. So please, if you are watching, kindly tag University of Ghana, hashtag University of Ghana, because that guy has to be demoted. He is not qualified to even be a lecturer at the university, because he claims to say that he is lecturing people at the university. So I wonder, this guy is actually a lecturer at the University of Ghana. So kindly hashtag University of Ghana or hashtag University of Ghana Students Association or Association. So 10 minutes rebuttal from the presentations we were supposed to do. Then now we come to the 30 minutes back and forth recap by questioning the sources, cross-examination. So this cross-examination, we go one question at a time. So we have to do cross-examination. So I'm going to put the meanings of all these things so that you get to understand what do they mean. But before I do that, let me play the BOZO's video on what he said concerning he being a graduate. Listen carefully what Siddik said, that he is a graduate, and yet this graduate doesn't understand English. And I wonder, how did this guy become a graduate? So this is the video. I'm going to play the video so you get to see his own claims by the horse's own mouth.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English. And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English. And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
Okay. So he says he has studied English and he is a graduate, so he knows English. This is Siddik. This is not me saying. He says he has studied English and he is a graduate, so he knows English. And when we say you know something, it means you have knowledge in it, right? We want to actually test his knowledge to see if Siddik actually knows English, because there seems to be some mishap, some misunderstanding here. First of all, Siddik doesn't know the meaning of introduction. When we say introduction, he doesn't know the meaning of introduction. And I'm going to prove to you why I said that. Now, check here. When we say introduction, formally making a person known to another or to the public. You make yourself known to another person or to the public, right? That is introduction. Introduction. Okay. Now, I'm going to put Siddik's video, how he introduced himself. But before I do that, right, we are going to check presentation. The activity of formally presenting something. You have to bring something on board to present to the audience, to see that this is what I'm presenting. When we say rebuttals, the speech act of refuting by offering a contrary contention or argument. When we say cross-examination, we are talking about close questioning of a hostile witness in a court of law to discredit or throw a new light on the testimony already provided in direct examination, which Siddik didn't allow me to actually cross-examine him after the first question. Verse. Siddik doesn't know the meaning of a verse, because when we were reading a verse from the hadith, he says it's not a verse, it is hadith. He doesn't even know the meaning of a verse. Verse, a line of metrical text or a literature in a metric form, just like their hadith books are also written. They have verse numbers, right? They go by numbers. So that's a verse, right? So he thought when we say a verse only belongs to Bible or Quran. That's why I call him a bozo. Okay. So now let's go back to the rules and regulations I was showing earlier, right? So the rules and regulations, here is it on the screen. So after the cross-examination, then we were supposed to go to questions from the viewers, right? Okay. Now this is the rules. These are the rules and regulations. Number one, no insults. Who did we see actually insulting the other on the program? Who did we see actually insulting somebody on the program? We saw Siddik actually insulting me throughout the program. So to me, I just realized whilst we were doing the debate, I realized that since we don't have a referee, if I should also counteract, the debate will be ruined. So I have to comport myself by not going down to his lane. Of course, sometimes you have to act like a fool to fool the fool who thinks he's fooling you. But in this sense, because I want the audience to benefit, I don't have to go to the level of a fool. So I had to put my, my IQ in check. So no insults. Siddik step on the rule, number one. So it tells you don't expect to get justice from a corrupt leader. It doesn't work. He was leading the show because he was the host. Siddik doesn't even understand the meaning of a host. I even have a audio discussion with him. For people who belong to my WhatsApp group, you know the discussion we had before we did the program, right? Siddik was scared to even start the presentation first because he already had this agenda to come and attack me personally. He wasn't in for a debate. So no insult, Siddik stepped on it. No mocking, Siddik still stepped on it. No mocking. Oh, you don't know Arabic. Oh, you are not learned. Oh, you are ignorant. Oh, you are a kafir. Oh, what? So you can see throughout, I was just smiling. I was just, laughing, taking it cool, because I know if I have to go on the counter, everything will be ruined. So I have to play to be the professional, right? No interruption unless, listen to the rule. So some people might say, babashuaib, you were the first to interrupt. No, I didn't interrupt him unless, listen carefully. That's the rule, because the rules were agreed by both parties. If Siddik never agreed to the rule, he wouldn't have played it on the show in the first place. And I even made him play it subsequently about 2 or 3 times after that, to show the audience who is just and who is unjust. And remember, before we started the debate, Siddik even didn't utter the word A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. He didn't even say it. He never even said, I seek refuge with God against the accursed devil. So it was clear who was there for the devil and who was there for God. Somebody will say, babashuaib, did you say? Yes, I said it. Watch the debate. You see, I started my introduction by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan. Siddik never mentioned is that he seek refuge, because he was there to play the devil's advocate there. So these are the rules. No interruption unless if there is a misquotation or a mistake by the speaker. So Siddik made a mistake. When I corrected, he was offended, because he thinks he knows Arabic so much that babashuaib cannot correct him. So when I corrected him, you saw how pissed he was and emotionally damaged he was. Okay. So in between, I think during the rebuttal, when I stopped him to correct him, he quoted the verse. He forgot that he was translating English. You see how foolish they are sometimes. He is translating the words from Arabic, whilst he wanted to lie to the audience by putting a word which didn't belong to the Arabic letters. So when I stopped, I said, hey, you lied there. It doesn't say explain it. He was so offended. He says, leave it for the audience to decide. What? Then what is the rules and regulation we set up for? After you and I agreed that we will stop each other and then interrupt and then show where is the mistake. Good. Now, this guy is claiming I cannot read Arabic, but throughout the debate, what was I reading? The Quran I was reading, was it in Chinese language? I wonder. And that is one of the reasons why I play Zakir Naik's video for you at the beginning, so that you see, even their top scholar doesn't know Arabic. Okay. Now, no off-topic issues. No off-topic issues. Siddik doesn't even understand what we call off-topic issues. He never understands that. Then we go, every statement will be backed up by tangible evidences or sources of info. Siddik never had it when he came to the debate. You heard it clearly when he said he doesn't have his library. Yet he was next to the library. His brother was sitting next to him and stretching the books for him. Siddik you come to a debate, you wanted me, your opponent, to provide you the sources of information. Hey, Siddik BOZO, please kindly hashtag RIP Siddik, because some people are wondering, will you be playing the videos? Yeah, if I'm going to play his videos, you see. Then he didn't back up any information with evidence or source. No. Then the last rule is one can plead for extra 2 minutes at a time to finish a point if needed. This is where we needed the 2 minutes when it came to the cross-examination. If needed, I needed 2 minutes to cross-examine, but Siddik doesn't even know the meaning of cross-examination. And I'll go to the point and I'll show you why I said he doesn't know the meaning of cross-examination. So it was initially supposed to be 2 hours program, but because Siddik kept interrupting, we kept going forward, interrupting. If I ask him a simple question, he doesn't want to answer. He twists the table around, he asks me a question. The guy doesn't even understand the meaning of it is my turn to ask you a question. He doesn't know. No problem. So those are the rules and regulations. You see it clearly, right? So you've seen who represent God and who represent the devil. Go back and watch the video again from the beginning. I was the one to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim when I started introduction. Siddik never said A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Siddik, Even though he read the laws and the rules and regulations to everybody, he never adhered to the rules and regulations, not even the timing. No. Okay. So now I'm going to play his introduction. Let's start with Siddik's introduction, how he made his own introduction when he stepped into the program. So kindly get your popcorns and enjoy.
Okay, so my name is Siddiksalis, and on this topic, whether the Quran defines the hadith, the hadith explains the Quran or not, I'm representing the position of the Muslims that lived with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's the Sahaba.
So you see how he started introduction. The guy doesn't know the meaning of introduction. And this guy says he's a university graduate and then he knows English. And we said introduction and representation. This is the rule. Let me put it again for you to see. This is what we said here. We said 2 minutes introduction and representation. He went straight forward to show where he represents. He didn't do any introduction. And you saw when he started his introduction, no a'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. He didn't come there for God. He came there for an agenda and to play the devil's advocate. It was obvious. Okay, so we said introduction and representation. Siddik started with representation and not introduction.
They transmitted this religion from the Prophet ﷺ to the Tabi'un, and then the Tabi'un also transmitted it to those who follow them in righteousness until today.
Please kindly hashtag RIP Siddik BOZO. Please do me a favor. Kindly hashtag Siddik RIP Siddik BOZO. Please. Yes, I agree with you. Naba Apogan, I agree with you. Yes.
So that is the position of the Muslims. That is over 2 billion Muslims representing that position.
You see how he was calling the attention and the viewership of what? Of the 2 billion, saying 2 billion. But yet these same people, this same Salafiyya, MUSHRIK, Sunnah, will classify the Shias as kafirs. He will classify the Tijaniyas in Ghana as kafirs. This same Salafiyya, MUSHRIK, will classify the other groups as kafir. He even classify Ahmadiyya as kafirs. But here he said, this Bozo said he's representing 2 billion Muslims.
Quran and the Sunnah were 2 revelations given to the Prophet sallallahu.
He says the Quran and the Sunnah were 2 revelations given to the Prophet, which is another lie. He wasn't even able to prove that. It's another lie. And I gave verses to show them that it was only the Quran. Quran chapter 47 verse 2. Surah to Muhammad. Wa amanu bima nuzzila ala Muhammad. Then God says, wa huwa haq. Wa huwa haq. It was only one. When we say huwa is a masculine pronoun, signifying one thing, which is a masculine pronoun, God says it is the truth. It is the truth. So that is the Quran. One revelation Muhammad received. And again, Quran chapter 17 verse 73, God says gairahu. Gairahu. The only thing God inspired him for the guidance of the people was the Quran. Gairahu. Other than it, he didn't say gairahuma. He never gave him 2 revelations for the people's guidance. So here the Bozo is also lying in his introduction.
However, the Quran has its meaning technically with regards to Islam, and then the Hadith technically, I mean istilahiyan, meaning technically, the Hadith also has its meaning. So
these guys have formed another version of meaning of words for technically, physically, literally, whatever. These are their own scholars forming this. Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam never gave them the jumbles of understandings. It never exists anywhere. Right.
I'm not talking about lugatan, linguistically. Quran means this and then Hadith means this. I'm talking about technically how Muslims have understood what the Quran is and what the Hadith is today. The people who say that they believe in the Quran alone.
Does he understand the meaning of introduction and representation? Do you see what he did? From his introduction and representation, he didn't do introduction, he did representation. And by not even showing if he's a Sunni, Salafiyya, for the first time in history, babashuaib, I made Siddik leave his Salafiyya ideology behind by not tagging himself a Salafi. He left it behind. And then he made a representation by saying he is part of the 2 billion Muslims. So this guy claimed to be a Muslim by force. But that he fumbled by also going back and lying, says 2 revelations. And he couldn't prove that. So now look, he's going to leave the representation and now he's going to attack us. That is me and the believers who agree with me that we follow the Quran for guidance.
Not I, siddiksalis, saying that they are non-Muslims. They have been regarded as non-Muslims over the years. So
this guy actually came there to declare fatwa. And when we say fatwa, legal opinion, to just declare somebody, you can make a legal fatwa and say, this is a kafir, these are kafirs, these are not going to paradise, this has to be killed. These are the kind of people. And remember, this guy, Salafiyya, was promoting terrorism in Ghana. Go to his page, Maruf. Go and check the reviews. Yes, they promote terrorism. And I think I have the picture here. I can show you. If you think I might just be putting a case on him, that is not the case. I'm going to show you the picture so that you know I'm not actually trying to, invent a saying against Siddik. No. So let me show you the picture so that you see it for yourself, right? When you go to his page, Maruf, and here, and I'm going to put it on the screen. Let me put it on the screen here. Yeah. This is Siddik's page. He is handling this page. I don't know if you see it clearly, but let me see if I can maximize it. If you maximize it, yeah. If you I maximize it for you, this is Maruf Live. This is Siddik's page. You see it? Maruf Live. Now, this Maruf Live is owned by Siddik. Of course, he claims he has other admins managing it as well. Now, when you check these reviews, 2 reviews from 2019, the ideologies he was posting, look at the comments from people from Ghana. They say sharing and posting something which will cause violence. The person meant to say violence, but he said violence, right? Then again, 25th April 2019, somebody say it's a terrorist page promoting terrorism. And which we all know throughout the world, the Salafiyya movement, they are the extremists. They actually have terrorists among them. They are terrorizing people everywhere. So if you are listening to the ideology, then think twice. Okay, so let me go back. So now let's listen to Siddik Bozo again.
Saying it. They hide behind the Quran to distort Islam, just like some people will hide behind Ahlul Bayt, the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to distort Islam. Some people also hide behind the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again to distort the Quran. Some people also hide behind how do you call it, prophethood or lugha, linguistic, and then they also distort the Quran. This is our position, that these people, they are non-Muslims. Oh, inshallah, my time is up, so I have to end it here, and then inshallah we take.
So do you see why I said this guy doesn't understand the meaning of what we say, introduction and representation? You can clearly see what he came to do, a fatwa, and to preach against people who actually uphold the Quran for guidance, and we say the book of God is enough. This guy hates that ideology, and he hates me personally. For everybody who watched it, you can see Siddik hated me personally. I don't know whether I married the lady he was supposed to marry. I have no idea. Siddik hated me for nothing. Or maybe because I was handsome than him. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyways, so that was the introduction and representation, and Siddik failed. So people will say, babashuaib, what about you? You know it already. Go and watch the debate. It's there, right? You know how I introduced myself. I started by A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I told you who I am. I told you my background. I told you what I represent, right? This guy didn't tell his background. He didn't tell anything about himself personally. What is that telling you? Can you trust somebody who didn't actually present himself, do any introduction about himself, but yet coming to represent an ideology? Can you trust such a person? Siddik is not meant to be trusted. I'm serious. Okay, so that was the introduction. He failed. We were supposed to do what? Introduction and representation, which I did mine perfectly. So now we had to go to presentations. Presentations is the idea of, does the hadith explain the Quran or not? So then you have to bring what you are presenting, put it on the table, and then present it to the people that this is what I represent. And I'm here to tell the people that I'm presenting this hadith to prove that the hadith is needed to explain the Quran. Siddik didn't do that. Instead, what did he do? And I'm going to play the video for you to see what Siddik came to do. So Siddik BOZO came to the debate to actually do this. This is a presentation of Siddik.
My 15 minutes. So let me start. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala al-Mustafa wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah. Amma ba'du. I can't hear your voice, but takbir. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Guys, I'm saying Allahu Akbar because after I have made sure that these people are actually the definition of the words of the Quran in terms of misguidance and in terms of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in terms of the ulama, indeed, that is exactly what he presented himself to be. So inshallah, inshallah, today I'm going to do less of the hadith al-munawwara, inshallah. Okay, so first of all, I'll take it from Surah Al.
So first, you saw it was time for him to do presentation, not rebuttal, not to attack me, not anything, presentation. And this guy says he's a university graduate and then he knows English. I'm not saying it. Siddik said it himself. Listen to him.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English. And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
Okay. That's what Siddik told you and I. He has studied English and he's a graduate and he knows English. And this guy actually claimed that he's a lecturer at the University of Ghana. So kindly hashtag University of Ghana. Let them see it because this guy has to be, taken away from that position. He doesn't deserve to be a lecturer at the university. I wonder what he's been teaching people there. Okay. I'm going to show you again the meaning of presentation because Siddik doesn't seem to know the meaning of presentation. I've shown you introduction, formally making a person known to another or to the public. He didn't make himself known to the public. He didn't say anything about him or his background, but he came attacking my background. Okay, so now presentation on the screen. This is what it means. This is presentation. Now, when we say presentation, we are talking about the activity of formally presenting something. Look at the topic of debate. The topic of the debate is, does the hadith explain the Quran or not? That's the topic of the debate. So what was Siddik supposed to do? Siddik was supposed to make a presentation, the activity of formally presenting something which has to do with something which actually explains the Quran or the reasons why hadith explains the Quran. This is what he was supposed to do. Now look how he jumped from presentation and he went to rebuttals. What is rebuttals? The speech act of refuting by offering a contrary contention or argument against somebody. This is rebuttal. So Siddik skipped presentation, which means he failed the debate initially. That one alone, he failed. It's just like somebody who wants to travel overseas and you don't have a passport, but you say you need a visa. How do you travel without a passport? How can you even get the visa without a passport? So you see how he failed. Out of the equation. That's why I keep telling you, this guy has never done any debate in his life. He has never even done any international. If he has it, let them spread his videos. Let's see. He doesn't have any. So he got offended as soon as I mentioned that this guy has never done any debate. I have done international debate. He got offended. He says, no, off topic, off topic. I was still talking about debate. How is it off topic? Okay, anyways, let's listen to Siddik.
I'll take the first ayah from Surah Al-Hajj, just a description of these people, and then we'll move on from there. Surah Al-Hajj, the verse number 8. Surah Al-Hajj, verse number 8. Those of you who have the Quran, inshallah, you can open the Quran. That is verse 7 to 8. That Quran chapter 22, verse 7 to 8. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ. There are among people, the people who argue in the issues of Allah. بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, without knowledge. وَلَا هُدًى, without guidance. وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ, and without a book of light or a law of light. So inshallah, today we are going to give Baba his own pill to take. I'm taking it from the verse that says Kitab Munir. But before then, I said he has fallen. You see this verse where Allah said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. This is exact description. No knowledge, no guidance, and then no book.
Now you see the misquotation here. He quoted Quran chapter 22, verse 8. I'm going to put a verse on the screen. Here, this is the verse. God says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ الْعِلْمِ. That's number 1, knowledge. وَلَا هُدًى, that's number 2, guidance. وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ, that is an illuminating book. That is number 3, right? Okay. Now, what do we know as knowledge? Any piece of information that you know and can prove, that is knowledge. For instance, if I ask you, do you have knowledge in fixing cars or mobile phones? If you say yes, there's only one way to find out. You have to prove to me. I have to give you a broken phone or a car for you to fix it. Then I can actually ascertain that you have knowledge. If babashuaib claims to know the Quran, what aspect of the Quran that he can prove things? Ask him questions. Does he prove it? Yes, he has knowledge. Now, what is the guidance we are talking about? We all know guidance can be found in the Quran. Sharu Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran hudan linnas. So the Quran's purpose was to serve as a guidance. Quran chapter 2 verse 38, God says he will send guidance to us. Whoever follows the guidance will never grieve nor have any fear. Quran chapter 2 verse 38. So this guy quoted this chapter verse out of context, and among the people are those who argue about Allah without knowledge, nor guidance, nor an enlightening book. What book? Which book did I come to the debate to present? I came to present the Quran. Which book did Siddik came to defend? Hadith. Did he bring it? No. At the end of the day, who even presented the hadith? I, same person, brought it on the screen again because I wanted to use his own book against him. This is what you do in a debate. Okay, so now let's listen to the BOZO again.
The verse then says, number 8 says, ثَانِيَ عِتُفِهِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They are arrogant. They are arrogant so that they will keep on misguiding people from the path of Allah. Allah said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, لَهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا خِزْيٌ. Allah said, is good for him in this world is disgrace. Allah is going to disgrace him. وَنُذِيقُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَذَابَ الْحَرِيقِ. And on the day of judgment, a severe punishments await them.
Now, you see what he was doing. Then he quoted by going to the next verse. You see here, the next verse is twisting his flank to turn away from the way of God. We all know where we can find the way of God. If you go to Quran chapter 6, verse 116, what did God say? If you obey most of those on earth, they will mislead you from the way of God. Why will they do that? They only assume and they are only guessing. وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ إِنْ يَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا ظَنًّا وَإِنْ هُمْ إِلَّا يَخْرُصُونَ. They are only guessing. If you obey them, they will mislead you from the way of God. But the mushriks will tell us the way of God by defining two ways, hadith and Quran. This is what they tell us. While God is pinpointing one way, so Siddik was supposed to come and pinpoint his presentation by presenting the argument where God actually says the hadith explains the Quran. I'm yet to see him quoting any verse proving that. So let's see, twisting verses out of context. So here he says, for him is disgrace in the world, and we will make him taste the punishment of the fire on the day of resurrection. This verse clearly fits somebody, and that person is a mushrik. That is RIP Siddik BOZO. Now let's go back to what the BOZO was saying.
Now let's go back to the same verse, verse 8. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ. That's verse 8. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ. From among people are those who argue in the issues of Allah. بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Then Allah mentioned knowledge. وَلَا هُدًى. Then Allah mentioned guidance. وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. And without a book of light. Now the Quran, we all know.
He's going to confess here. Listen what he said.
It's Kitab Munir. Muslims here, do you doubt that the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given to Muhammad is a guidance? Does any Muslim have doubt in that?
The question is, does babashuaib has doubt in that? But the question is, siddiksalis, you have doubt in that. That's why you were defending that topic. Does the hadith explain the Quran? But he doesn't get what he was there to represent either.
Any Muslim have doubt that the Quran is ahsanul hadith? No Muslim on the surface of the earth has doubt in this. Therefore, these people, like I described them, if you study developmental psychology, at the stage of a kid, I don't have much. At the age of a kid, he has what the kid reaches a stage where we call schema. So you know schema? Schema is the stage of the kid where he thinks he makes how do you call it? Descriptions for himself. So whenever he sees, for example, any animal with 4 legs, the kid calls it dog. So goat, he calls it dog. Pig, he calls it dog. Anything, he calls it dog. That is the age of schema, and that is.
So this is the presentation Siddiksalis came to do. No wonder I told you this guy never did a debate. The mushriks could have done better to send me somebody, better. This guy came to the debate, and he's talking about a schema. Okay.
Where these people are. Secondly, then they have egocentrism. Egocentrism is where they think that what they know is what we call knowledge.
Is that not the same thing, Siddik, what you are thinking? That what you know is what you call knowledge? What? Siddik, that's what you just described. At the debate, everybody who watch, you are calling me ignorant. You are telling me I don't know anything. You are telling me you don't have any background. You are claiming you are knowledgeable. And you are describing yourself right now. Because what you think you know is what you call knowledge, Siddik. But we were supposed to do presentation, not personal attack or rebuttals. But look at what you went to do.
What we call logic. When he was speaking, he mentioned the word logic, and I'll come back to that. Let me quickly move on. Allah mentioned knowledge, then he mentioned guidance, then he mentioned Kitab Munir. Kitab Munir, we believe that is the Quran. What is the knowledge? The knowledge is what the Quran came with.
Oh, now you see, Siddik agrees that the knowledge is what the Quran came with. Not only the Quran, the Quran can be found in the book. Quran chapter 56, verse 77 to 78. Innahu la Quran al-Kareem. Where do you find it? Fi kitabim maknoon. So this Quran coming within a book, what did God tell us concerning the Quran? And this is the answer here. I'm going to show you in a verse. Quran chapter 7, verse 52. I even quoted that verse in my presentation. So this is the answer. But because Siddik is not paying attention, he has an agenda. He didn't even pay attention for me saying that the Quran was the one which came with the knowledge. So this is the verse on the screen. I'm going to put it. Check the verse. That is a verse on the screen. So you see clearly what God is telling us. وَلَقَدْ جِينَاهُمْ بِكِتَابٍ فَصَّلْنَاهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ هُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. It takes believers to understand this and follow this. We have certainly brought them a book which we have detailed upon knowledge, or we can say by knowledge, as guidance and mercy for people who believe. And that is why me, babashuaib, Me, myself, and I was there to represent that ideology by telling you the Quran is sufficient and it has been given knowledge inside that we have to take up our guidance and mercy. But Siddik, you said no. You came to represent something else. So let's see what you said.
Recitation, when it is being recited and it is not being understood, that is not knowledge. Then Allah said, Hudan, guidance. What is the guidance?
So he says, when it's being recited and is not being understood, we don't call that knowledge. However, babashuaib, you and I, you Siddik and I, we came there to present knowledge, reciting Arabic language from the Quran, and then giving the what? Explanation or interpretation and translation to the people. We recited it from Arabic, we read it from Arabic, and then we gave what it means to the people. But clearly, the people can differentiate clearly between you and I. I was telling people the truth, and you were lying into the verses. And the same person who you call me ignorant, I was able to stop you and told you you made a mistake. So assuming if I don't understand Arabic, how did I know you made a mistake? Okay, let's go.
Guidance, then. What is the guidance? Anyone who has been to any institution, anyone who has been to any school at all in this world, knows that we have some people called tutors. They are the guides.
So now, Quran mentioned guidance. Siddik is going away from the Quran to say the tutors are the guide. So let's see, what does the Quran point as guidance? Did the Quran say Prophet Muhammad is guidance? No, Quran never ever mentioned Prophet Muhammad as guidance. Siddik doesn't know the meaning of had, which is a guide, and then hudan, guidance. This guy claims he's learned. Okay, let's go and see the answer. Which one is the guidance God has given us? Where are we supposed to find such a guidance? Is it in the Quran or is it in the Prophet Muhammad himself? So Quran chapter 45 verse 11, I put it on the screen. Quran chapter 45 verse 11, this is what God says. He says, Haza hudan, here. Haza, he says this. T-H-I-S. And when we say this, every intellectual person listening to this program right now, when we say this, it is the following, something in front of you. You have it in your hand. This, you have the Quran, and it's telling you this is guidance. This is guidance. Quran in your hands. So God is clearly telling you, Haza hudan. Haza hudan. The Quran is here to give you clarification of all things that it has mentioned. It gives you clarity. So if it mentions something, it doesn't leave you in limbo and say, go to a dead scholar or a dead prophet to tell you what it means. You are a bozo to think a dead person has to teach you Islam. Now, haza hudan wallazina kafaru bi ayati rabbihim lahum azabun min rijsin alim. This is guidance, and those who disbelieve in the verses of their Lord will have the torment of a painful punishment. So where do we find the guidance? Is it in your garbage books? Or is in the best book of guidance, the Quran? Let's go back. So let's listen to the bozo. Let him continue what he's saying.
You have your textbook, but then you have the lecturer. And I'm going to give a clear, and today.
So who is the lecturer of the Quran? Who is the lecturer? Who was supposed to lecture the people? What was the duty of the Rasul? Rasul was only to deliver. وَمَا عَلَى رَسُولِ إِلَّا بَلَاغٌ مُبِينٌ. So somebody will say, oh, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ. Yes, God didn't say وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْقُرْآنِ, because God is the teacher of the Quran. The messenger was supposed to deliver the book by teaching the people how to write it. Then the message inside, it is God going to teach you. So Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insan, allamahu al-bayan. Quran chapter 55 verse 1 to verse 4. God is the teacher. God didn't say, Muhammad, you are the teacher of the Al-Quran. People don't know the difference between Al-Kitab and Al-Quran, especially the mushriks. Just like they don't know the difference between Ar-Rasul and Nabi. They don't know. When God says, Ati'ullah wa Ati'ur Rasul, these people, these bozos, will tell you it means obey the prophet. When God says Al-Kitab, they will say Al-Kitab is still at the Quran, whilst they forget that there is a difference. The Al-Quran is what you find within the book. You find Al-Quran, you find Hikmah, you find Hudan, you find everything within the book written down. Do you get my point? So when we say Al-Quran, God was telling the prophet in Quran chapter 75, verse 16 to verse 19, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جماعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. So God is the one to teach you the Quran. He is the one to clarify the Quran. He is the one to make you understand how it should be read. Nobody else. So they're mistaking the notion when God says that the messenger, Quran chapter 62 verse 2, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, they are thinking it means وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْقُرْآنِ. Do you see how mushriks twist God's words? That is why Quran chapter 10 verse 82, God says وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. And God will enforce the truth with his words even if the criminals dislike it. Who are the criminals? Like the Siddik, BOZO. So let's go and see what Siddik was saying.
I'm going to let them know that, wallahi, they mention common sense and they don't have common sense. They mention, how do you call it, logic, and they don't know what logic is.
And this guy came to do personal attack. Instead of presentation, he was just attacking me personally.
Anyone who has studied law or is in the school of law today, anyone who is in the school of law today, I have my brother with me, he's also in the school of law. When we say manslaughter.
So you see, he came to do debate. His brother is with him there as a backup. And the brother is also in the school of law to back him up as a lawyer. I don't know if they have to make a case against me to take him into court. And the brother is there next to the library. So if Siddik need any garbage book, the brother will just stretch like this and take the book. If Siddik need water, he will stretch to give him something. You understand? So that's the brother is with him there. So let's think.
In law, when, for example, it is said that this person has been charged, Mr. So and so has been charged for manslaughter, this statement is clear. Everyone understood what it has been said. But anyone who has never been to the school of law or has never studied law have no idea what although you have heard what they said, but wallah, you have no guidance, because manslaughter, if someone likes, the person should, how do you call it, translate it right now under this comment section. Let's see how they are going to translate it.
So this is presentation by Siddik. And Siddik failed to realize that the guidance of the Quran or the book was not dependent on Prophet Muhammad either. But because they don't study the Quran, so he doesn't know. And this is exactly why he quoted Quran chapter 22 verse 8. But he refused to realize that the verse goes against him. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ الْعِلْمِ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. If Siddik had knowledge, he would have known that it is in the Quran. Had he had guidance, he would know that the guidance is not dependent on Muhammad. And I'm going to show you the evidence. Quran chapter 2, verse 272. Listing what God told the Prophet clearly, explicitly, clearly for those who have eyes and ears to see. This is what God told the Prophet. Laysa alayka hudahum, walakinna Allah yadi man yasha. I repeat, Laysa alayka hudahum walakinna laha yadi man yasha. Their guidance is not based on you, Muhammad. Their guidance, the people's guidance, is not upon you, Muhammad. Alayka. That's alayhi salam. You say alayka is a second person pronoun. Their guidance is not upon you. That's why Prophet Muhammad is dead and gone. He is gone. It is the book of God left here. Who is the teacher? God. Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran. The gracious is the teacher of the Quran. Yours is just take the book and read it, and you see God talking to you. But fools, foolish mushriks, bozos like this guy, don't want to comprehend what God is saying, and then they hate somebody who acknowledges the words of God. They will hate somebody like me and the rest of you who agree with me. Now you see the verse clearly, right? But God guides whomever he wills, but through what? The Quran. That's why the Quran is to serve as a guidance for mankind, not only for the Arabs, for mankind. Quran chapter 2 verse 185. But the bozo doesn't understand. So let's go back to the bozo.
They translate as someone who has killed someone. But manslaughter means that someone who has mistakenly, not intended, killed someone. That is manslaughter. Who explains this to us? Although the textbook says manslaughter, it is the teacher, and that is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi.
Is that what God said? God said Muhammad is the teacher of the Quran? No, it is God teaching. This guy doesn't understand. Somebody will say, then what is the purpose of chapter 62 verse 2? Huwa allazi basa fil ummiyina rasulan. Remember, ummiyina, they were on land. His people never have any idea about the book of God. They never received any book from God. So now they have a messenger who is reciting the verses of God, and now he has to teach them the book. And when we say al-kitab, it has to be written. It has to be a manuscript where you have to teach people how to write it, because they are on land. They never learned any scripture from God. So you, the one who has been taught, you, the teacher who is going to teach them how to write the book, you have to now teach them, hey, write A, write B here. Just like we academically, we have all been to the classroom. Class 1, your teacher has to give you my first copy book to show you how to write A, B, C, D, because you have no idea what you came there for. So that's why God called his people ummiyuna, or we can say ummiyina. So he was only there to teach them the al-kitab, how to write it. But in that verse, you never find the word al-Quran. Who is the teacher? Because Allah is the teacher. Chapter 55, verse 1 to verse 2. Mushriks don't understand this.
Wasallam. So that is the first one. Second one, he made use of the word bayan. We all heard it. Bayan. The word bayan or mubin is from the word bana, yubinu, bayan, and what tibiyanan. You can hear him saying, quoting a verse of tibiyanan. Inshallah, guys, let's look at the meaning of bayan in the first place.
When I quoted chapter 16, verse 89, وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبِيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ, Siddik is going to tell us that he disagrees with the Quran, the book, as a clarification for all things. He disagrees with that. So that is why he was going to bring the word tibiyan, bayan, yubin, mubin to counter my argument, saying it doesn't mean the Quran is what? Clear or clarified or gives clarification. You see what the mushriks do. And at this time, it was time for presentation, not rebuttal. Presentation. And this guy says what? This is what Siddik said. Listen carefully. He said what?
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
This is what Siddik said. He has studied English. He's a graduate, so he knows English. What did we come there to do? We were supposed to do what? Presentation, not rebuttals. We were there to do presentations, not rebuttals yet. Okay, so let's continue.
Bayan can be many things. Number one, it can be furqan, meaning to distinguish between good and bad. Indeed, the Quran distinguishes between.
So today, Siddik forgets to bring his Lisan al-Arab. Lisan al-Arab. Usually you see him taking that dictionary and saying he's going to give you meaning of a word. Siddik didn't go there now. Now Siddik is finally a scholar who is so knowledgeable. He's sitting there by himself going to give us meaning of words with no reference, no evidence, no sources. And what did we agree at the as a rules and regulations of the debate? We said in the rule number what? Rule number 5. Every statement will be backed up by tangible evidences or sources of info. Siddik didn't give any source of information. So let's go back.
But Allah called the Quran Furqan. The Quran, again, is the meaning of bayan is hard to make something plain. So the Quran making, like I mentioned, I gave an example, an analogical example, like someone who the judge says that you have been charged for manslaughter. This is a clear statement. It is eloquent. Everyone heard it. The Quran is eloquent. The Quran is clear in what it says. But then who tells us its meaning? Sometimes the Quran will come with a different verse, which is called Quran, tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran, and every Muslim believes in this. The Quran will come and explain itself. For example, the Prophet ﷺ, in some cases, will use a verse to define a verse. But right now, what I'm going to do is to go into the verse, some of the verses he used in the interest of bayan, to say that the Quran is bayan. So therefore, it doesn't need anything.
What is this guy? Does this guy know English as he claimed? He says he knows English. He has studied English. He knows English and he's a graduate. What is he talking about? Please, every academic person listening to me, if you have studied English and you have any level of understanding English, can you make sense of what Siddik is saying now? Did you make any sense in what he's saying? Because he's talking as if I am the enemy of the Quran and Islam. I came defending the Quran. I quoted verses from the Quran, gave my proofs from the Quran. It's not time for rebuttal. Siddik is doing rebuttals now. telling me I said the Quran is mubin, I said the Quran is tibiyan, I said the Quran gives the bayan, and Siddik is now countering my argument. What was he trying to do? That's why I told you this guy has no experience in debate. He's an amateur. So that's why I said hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo. Kindly write it down. Hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo, because I want this to trend so badly. I want the scholars of the Sunni, all the sectarian aspect to see, so that I'll use him as a scapegoat. So when somebody is coming to face me, they will be well prepared. Right? Okay.
The Quran bayan means it's distinguished between good from bad. Number two is to make something clear. The Quran is a clear speech, meaning we hear it. When it is being recited, it is so clear. It is not ambiguous in the way it is.
Siddik, you are supposed to do a presentation by showing us that the Hadith explains the Quran. That's the presentation. Now you came telling us the Quran is clear. What was this? This guy is educated? Siddik, so you are very educated? You. Where is the I feel like crying? I need to play I feel like crying. Where is it? Where did I save it? Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I need to play I feel like crying. Where is he? Siddik, I feel like crying. Oh, if I don't see it, it will hurt me. So where did I save it? Oh, Siddik, where did I put it? But anyways, let him keep talking.
It's not how do you call twisted. It is not something that is not clear of Arabic language. It's Arabiyyim. It's Arabiyyim mubin. It's clear Arabic language. But then does it mean it has no teacher? Inshallah, as we will see, as we move on, we are going to bring him verses to tell us the meaning from the Quran, inshallah. So number one, let's go to Surah Al-Zukhruf. Surah Al-Zukhruf, chapter 43, verse 52, without wasting of much time. Surah Al-Zukhruf.
So he went to Surah Al-Zukhruf.
Bayan or
He's going to Surah Al-Zukhruf. I'm going to play that part.
Wala yakadu yubin.
Okay. So he went to Surah Al-Zukhruf. That is chapter 43, verse 52. And all this, he was doing a rebuttal against me, trying to prove the word bayan, yubin, whilst not knowing that every word goes with the subject and the context, so that you determine, because every word in Arabic has multiple meanings. So by understanding the subject and the context, you get to know which of the meanings fit in that criteria. So Siddik was doing this to refute my argument, saying that the Quran is mubin, saying that the Quran is bayan, saying that the Quran is tibiyan. I don't get what he was trying to do. Trying to tell the people, no, he is lying. The Quran is not mubin. The Quran is not tibiyan. The Quran is not bayan. This is what he was trying to do. And it wasn't time for rebuttals. So he quoted Quran chapter 43, verse 52. And I'm going to put it on the screen. And Siddik was trying to use that verse as an argument against me by telling the people that, oh, that verses he quoted has nothing to do with anything, right? So this is the verse. And God says here, ana khayrum min haza lazi huwa muhin wala yakadu mubin. So what does that mean? Or am I not better than this one who is what? Who is what? Contemptible and can hardly explicate, can hardly explain. Do you understand? So it is used here as a verb, yubin, to explicate or to explain. If the Quran calls itself mubin, it has been self-explained, self-clarified. That is why it's called mubin. It's just like calling yourself Muslim. It means you have made a taslim. So you are called Muslim. If you are a student who does the darasa, we call you mudarris. That is a student. If you are somebody who is knowledge, an alim, we call you, and you can teach people from your alim, we call you muallim. So the mu is signifying that thing is already up to the level which doesn't need any extra thing. So if Quran says kitab mubin or Quran in mubin, Siddik, what is your case? But here you are quoting verses to counter me and saying, oh, I lied. He's saying the Quran is mubin, Quran is yubin, Quran is this. Oh my God. Quoting the verses. Okay, let's go to Siddik.
Wala yakadu yubin. Fir'aun said to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was trying to criticize Musa for not being clear in his tongue, for not being clear in his tongue, he said, Am ana khayrun. Musa said, Fir'auna, he said, am I better min hadha, or this one that alladhi huwa mahin, that is a nobody, wala yakadu yubin, and he cannot even speak well. The Quran,
you see what is it? This is his presentation.
And speaks well, and listen to what the kalima again, by mubin or bayande or bayinade. Wait, he doesn't mean
using my argument.
My point is the how do you call it, bayan or mubin doesn't necessarily, now the English doesn't necessarily mean explain, and that is the ignorance of these people.
Doesn't necessarily mean, and you are not countering the argument by showing people what it means. It doesn't necessarily mean explain. So the Quran doesn't explain itself. This is what MUSHRIK is telling us.
They take, like I said, let the ladies come out with clear or
he went again.
That can be seen.
He went again to Quran chapter 65 verse 1, where it says mubayyina. And he quoted that verse, trying to still put his point that the Quran is not mubin, even though that context is talking about divorce, that if the lady has brought a proven adultery or committed something which can be visible. This guy is still quoting these verses to counter my argument.
An evil, then he used, how do you call it? How do you call it? Where Allah said, Hada bayanun linnas. Wallahi, anyone who has a Quran should open that verse.
We are going to open, Siddik. Quran chapter 3, verse 138. We are going to open, Siddik. We are with you. We are not going to leave you alone. We are with you. This is the verse. And one thing they fail to realize is this guy claims he's knowledgeable, but he doesn't know what we call fikra. In Arabic, when we say fikra, we are talking about a paragraph. Now, Quran, unlike other books in English, when you write or reading a story, you have something we call paragraph. A paragraph starts a new topic or a new issue. So when the word was starting, where God says haza, 138, when God was starting with haza, God didn't start with wahaza. There's no wa. So he wasn't even connecting the issue in 138 with the issue above. And if it was connecting the issue above concerning the people, it wouldn't use the word haza for the way it used it in that context. So Siddik is going to lie here. Check what he says. And I'm going to put that verse on the screen first, so you see what the verse says and you see what Siddik is going to say. Right? So let me put the verse here. This is the verse. God says, haza bayan linnas wa hudan wa mau'izatun lil muttaqin. So haza, this in front of you, like I tell you, for every intellectual person, listen to me. In Arabic, when we say haza, it is something in front of you. It is not away from you. It is not above or somewhere. It is in front of you. Haza can never be somewhere else. In front of you, right? Okay. So now haza bayan, right? So this is bayan. This is declaration, elucidation, clarification, everything God says. Haza. Now listen what Siddik is going to say.
Quran should open that verse. Just type Hada bayanu linnasi wa huda wa ma'idatan lil muttaqin. And then you see these people, sometimes they make use of the word siyak. But siyak, why is it that this time around you left siyak, babashuaib?
I left siyak because you don't understand how to use siyak. When we say siyak, it's in Arabic, it means context. Context. Now, for every intellectual person, understanding how to use context, you must know how subject works. And then you can know how context works. Then you can now have a content, right? You see this glass. If it is empty, we call it a glass. If I put the water inside and I leave it on the table, it becomes the glass. It becomes the glass because it has a subject matter there. Now, Siddik doesn't understand that if you are dealing with context, there's also what we call a paragraph, a fikra in Arabic. He doesn't know that. And this guy claims he's educated. It's clear, it's obvious. Whoever watched the debate can see the difference between you and I. You are not my match at all. You only came there to display the book of your slave masters, how to recite or read the book of your slave masters. The Quran, you were even fumbling, right? So this is where you are claiming superiority, that I couldn't read your book, the book of your slave master. I have the potential to read the Quran and give people the meaning of what the verses say. Why will I waste my time to read the book of your slave masters when I have the best book, which is the Quran? Okay.
Siyak means, they say it means context, which today I will be asking him the different types of qiyas if he actually knows.
Now we say siyak. Now he said qiyas. Now he got confused again.
Let's go to the verse. The verse is in Surah Al Imran. That is verse 138.
Anyways, this is where he messed up. And he says the haza, it's meant for the people. While you don't use haza for multiple things. You don't use haza for multiple things. You use haza for one thing in front of you. So that thing is in front of you, not away from you. Right? So he's trying to connect chapter 3, verse 137 with 138, which they are not connected. The fikra, the paragraph of 138 is a different topic altogether, pointing that this is what? Clarification. This is what? Declaration in the Quran, which we find in the Quran. Just like I quoted chapter 45, verse 11. Haza hudan. This is guidance. But this guy doesn't even know how paragraphs work in Arabic. Let's go forward.
Verse 138.
He was struggling to even open the verse.
Allah said, قد خلت من قبلكم سنن فسيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين.
So he was quoting chapter 3, verse 137. And listen how he is going to lie.
When Allah was describing something from the top again, he said, أولئك جزاؤهم مغفرة من ربهم. After Allah explained something that he said, قد خلت من قبلكم. Some people have come before you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this your ummah. He said, sunanun. They have come with path. فسيروا في الأرض. Therefore walk on the land. فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين. And go and see how Allah has dealt with the evil ones. Then Allah said, هذا بيان للناس. If you go and see these people, this is a clear evidence to you. So
now he says, if you go and see these people, listen, these people in Arabic we use ulaika or haulahi for people. You see how Siddik lied? If you go and see these people, you see how he lied? And this guy is claiming he knows Arabic. You see the clear lie here? He doesn't know the difference between a paragraph. And he messed up big time. Okay.
Allah wasn't referring to the Quran.
Now, you see the lie they do. He says God wasn't referring to the Quran. Now, this is the devious people you are listening to. People like Siddik, BOZO. Now, let's move on.
Bayan was referring to Allah telling the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to travel to tell the people to travel to the lands to go and see how Allah dealt with the people before them. So hadha bayan, you lie that it is referring to the Quran.
He said, rather, I lie that it referring to the Quran. Clearly, intellectual people reading the Quran know that haza is something in front of you, not something which is away from you. So intellectually, Siddik, you are kaput. Even though when he came to the rebuttals, I struck him down to show him that. But I'm just playing this for the sake of, that's why I'm here. I'm going to crush him, right?
Now the next one.
So it's clear who is the enemy of the Quran on that day. I am proving the quality of the Quran and what the Quran represents. This guy is trying to refute the argument that the Quran is not qualified to be the bayan. You see the enemies of Islam. That's the real enemy. Siddik, BOZO. Okay.
And I'm going to use that simple verse, inshallah. Allah said, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. The same verse you use. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. Do not hasten your tongue, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
He's going to lie here. Listen.
In grasping the Quran. لا تحرك به لسانك. به here is referring to the Quran. Allah said, إنا علينا جمعه وقرآنا. And this is where you feel. Allah said, we are going to gather, we are going to arrange the Quran, the huruf of the Quran for you. And Allah said, Inna alayna jam'ahu. It is for us to gather the Quran, for you, for its recitation. Then Allah said,
you see, he's starting to lie here, and I'm going to put the verse on the screen. Chapter 75, verse 16. And we are going to cross-check Siddik, the BOZO, who claims he knows Arabic. We are going to cross-check. Now listen, I'm going to let him finish his statement, then we are going to cross-check. Listen. You see, he's talking to his backup support, his backup, which is his brother, the other lawyer next to him. So now, if you forget the verse, this guy has to help him to recite a verse, to read a verse. I thought this guy says he's an Hafiz. He has memorized the Quran, he can read. So now the brother has to remind him.
Then Allah summa, when summa comes in the verse, the one that comes after summa doesn't mean it is not the same thing that came before the summa. And
please, if you guys understand English properly, can you understand the English he's speaking? What English? What was he trying to explain there? With which English? What was he trying to say? Does it make sense at all?
this is Arabic, simple Arabic principle. The one that came before summa is not the same as the one that came after summa. Babashuaib. Allah said, "Summa inna alayna bayana." So the Quran, again, when it is the Quran has been mentioned already, then Allah said it is for us to give the explanation. It's not Allah that is going to sound from the heavens, but it's going to give it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for that explanation. And therefore, Allah said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that wama anzalna. Allah said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that it is you to define the Quran, or explain the Quran. Inshallah, my time is up, and I will end it here. In the next one, then we'll go to the next.
I feel like crying, eh?
I love MUSHRIK.
I feel like crying, eh?
I love MUSHRIK. Ladies and gentlemen, what was he trying to say at the end? That what was he trying to say? What English was Siddik trying to speak at the end? I don't get it. What was he trying to say? Seriously, this is what Siddik says. Siddik says he knows this. Okay, I don't want to speak for him. Listen to Siddik.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
You saw what he did at the end, butchering English language. Okay, now listen. Look at this part. Here, I'm going to show you the verse. How Siddik lied to you. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. Then he says, Inna alayna jama'ahu wa qur'anahu fa iza qara'nahu fattabi qur'ana. Then he says, Thumma inna alayna bayanahu. Then, indeed, upon us is its clarification. It doesn't say we are going to give you. Just like God says, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Just like God says, for instance, if you go to Quran chapter 15, verse 87, where he says, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَاكَ سَبَأَ مِنَ الْمَثَانِ وَقُرْآنَ الْعَظِيمِ. آتَيْنَاكَ, that is to give you. God is now telling us in chapter 75, verse 19, then indeed upon us is its clarification. Bayanahu. Siddik was trying to lie, and that is why God exposed him. He kept stammering. He doesn't know the choice of words to even use. And this guy says he has studied English, he knows English, and he's a graduate. And this guy is actually teaching at the University of Ghana. Please, hashtag University of Ghana. Tell them this guy is not qualified to be a teacher at all. At all, Siddik. At all. So that brings an end to that presentation where he fumbled. That presentation was supposed to be a presentation, not rebuttals, and he came doing rebuttals against me. So this is the best he could offer. That's the rebuttals from Siddik instead of presentation. So that means Siddik never had any presentation. He came to do rebuttals. So I'm now going to take you to the rebuttals video where he actually claimed to do rebuttals against me. So coming back, he didn't come back stronger. He didn't learn any lesson. So he came back with jumbles again. So I'm going to put Siddik's rebuttal here. We go to Siddik's rebuttal. This is Siddik's rebuttal here.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Okay, so the issue with this Quraniyun is out.
Again, when I did my presentation, my introduction and representation, I never called myself Quraniyun. I never said I belong to a sect. I only said I'm a Muslim. And I even quoted chapter 27, verse 91 to 92, where Prophet Muhammad himself, alayhi salam, said, وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَأَنْ أَتْلُوَ الْقُرْآنِ, that have been commanded to be of the submitters, which is the Muslims, and then what? To recite the Quran. This is what I claim to be. So this is why I was there from the Quran. But this Siddik Bozo, because he doesn't have clear IQ to listen to people clearly, he has to keep tagging people. We said no insults and no mocking. But this is exactly what he came to do, to insult me and to mock me. And you could see clearly who was more professional and who was more what? Had more humility in the show, right? Okay.
Straight rejection of the Quran. Because they will then coin, like I said, they will coin their own thing, they will coin their own schema. And anyone who doesn't believe in the schema, for example, they say, show me where the Prophet, Allah, the Quran says, the Prophet is the teacher of the Quran. Meanwhile, there are a lot of alfaz in the Quran that shows that the Prophet, the Quran was sent to him, and he is the teacher of the Quran. For example,
and yet Siddik couldn't show us one verse where God says Prophet is the teacher of the word Al-Quran. Listen carefully. That is why God claimed that title, Ar-Rahman Allama Al-Quran. It takes mushriks not to understand this, because they hate it so much that God is the one teaching the Quran. That is why God told the Prophet, La tuharrik bihi lisanaka lita'ajala bihi. Inna alayna jama'ahu wa Qur'anahu. Fa iza qara'nahu fattabi'u Qur'ana thumma inna alayna bayanahu. The mushriks will change the alayna and put alayka, as if the Prophet is the one to clarify the Quran. You see how they disrespect God, trying to tell people that God lacks wisdom and knowledge to clarify his own book, but it takes a human being who is what? Who they claim is illiterate, who they claim is unlearned, and then that one to rather explain the words of God. So now listen to Siddik.
Surah Al-Nahl, Quran chapter 16, verse 64. If you have
Quran chapter 16, verse 64, we are going to cross-check. This is where when I corrected him, he got offended. So you see what happened.
Quran, anyone who has the Quran can open to
we are also going to open
verse, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمُ الَّذِي اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Wallahi, these people, they are not believers. Wallahi, these people, they are kuffar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ. And there is nothing.
He's going to give his translation. This guy says he knows Arabic, right? So he forgot that when you read Arabic, you have to give the explanation or interpretation or translation in English. This guy says he knows English. He's a graduate and he has studied English. I am not saying it. He said it himself. This is what he said, right? So listen to Siddik. He's going to make a mess of himself right now.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
Okay, so now listen to Siddik.
That we have sent in the book for you, to you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Good. Now, do you see what he says? He says there is nothing that we have revealed in the book. That's what he says. In the book, to you, for you. Check the word for word here. وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمُ الَّذِي اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ. Now, this is the word for word. And we have not revealed the book to you except, but what did Siddik say? You all heard what he said, right? What did Siddik say? And there is nothing that we have revealed in the book. He said, in the book. We didn't see the word in the book there. But he was trying to use this word to counter my argument of saying that there is nowhere where it says Prophet is the teacher of the word Al-Quran. He doesn't know the difference between Al-Kitab and Al-Quran. That is why Quran chapter 56 verse 77 to verse 78 says, Innahu la Quran al-Karim. Where do you find the Quran? Fi kitabim maknoon. So there's difference between Al-Kitab and Al-Quran. Okay. So listen, check what Siddik is going to do now.
Except that except that you are the one to explain it.
Now you heard what he said, to explain it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the verse on the screen. Here's the verse on the screen, right? In Arabic text here, you don't see explain it. When we say it is a domir, which is a masculine pronoun. The who should be there if it is explaining the book or the Al-Quran. God always uses a masculine pronoun, who, or for the book or for the Quran, right? So, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ. God didn't say, إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَهُ. God never said that. He never said, إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَهُ. It doesn't exist in the verse. Do you see it on the screen? Illa litubayyinahu is not there. What did Siddik do? Siddik is now telling us to explain it. We don't see it after the tubayyinahu. Siddik put it there. Do you see the devious people we are talking about? These are the people who will tell you they know Arabic. This kind of people, like Siddik. He will tell you he knows Arabic, right? And now, if you remember, I have a particular video that I made giving people advice concerning this kind of people. They will come lying to you with the verses of God. Now, listen to this video, right? I'm putting one short video of mine giving people advice concerning people like Siddik, BOZO. Now, if you don't pay attention to the so-called people who are the slaves, who are worshiping their slave masters, if you don't pay attention to the things they twist around you, they will lie to you and take you away scot-free. Now listen to. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you see my advice that I gave? That video is on TikTok, it's everywhere. That's my advice to you. Siddik was lying to you evidently. Now listen when I interrupted him after he lied. Listen what he's going to do.
Muhammad, you are the one to explain it.
Siddik, there is a mistake.
Mistake where?
There is a mistake. Let me correct you. There is a mistake.
Mistake is where? Wait till I finish. Wait till I finish.
No. Now he said, wait till I finish. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the rules on the screen. That's the rules here. You see, rules number 3. It says, no interruption unless if there is a misquotation or mistake by the speaker. No interruption unless if there is a misquotation or mistake by the speaker. So he was embarrassed. He told me, he was telling people that you are ignorant. You don't know Arabic. You don't know this. You don't need this. So now he's going to tell me to leave it for the audience. How can the audience stop you and say, Siddik, you made a mistake? How can they do that? So now listen to the mushrik. No, it's part of the agreement. It's part of the rules. If you make a mistake,
when you were going wayward and I was correcting you, you said
no, you didn't correct me. No. It wasn't a correction.
Okay.
You were accusing me of something.
What is the correction? Go on. What's the correction?
Okay, now you say you should explain it. The verse doesn't say you should explain it. Go back and check. So now this is where when I corrected the bozo, he was so embarrassed and offended that he was caught in broad daylight. So now he want to defend himself. Leave it for the audience to decide. Now listen what he's going to say. This is the verse on the screen. God didn't say illa litubayyinahu. He never said that. This mushrik now put who after litubayyina. When I caught him red-handed in front of everybody, leave it for the audience. Listen what he's going to say.
And you are reading English, I'm reading Arabic. So keep quiet and listen to the.
Ladies and gentlemen, was it not English he was translating that I caught him? He says, I'm reading English and he's reading Arabic. So when we started the debate, was it English I was reading throughout? When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser. It's obvious, right?
No,
but you made a mistake.
There's no mistake here. Leave it to the audience to judge. You have no background.
I should leave it for the audience to judge. When you and I made the rules together and we agreed to the rules, and then we came on the battlefield, now the rules must take its effect. Because you are a corrupt leader, you want to hijack the rules and regulations. You are telling me to now leave it to the audience. Then, Siddik, in the first place, initially, why didn't you agree with me that we will leave it for the audience when there is a mistake, a misquotation? Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And these people are supposed to lead you in Islam. And these people, you think they are going to defend the real Islam for you? These people, Siddik, BOZO, please, hashtag University of Ghana. This guy doesn't deserve to be a lecturer at all. This guy.
Leave that to the audience. Leave that to the audience.
We didn't agree the audience will do that. We agreed
both
of us to do that.
Where is the mistake? Where is the mistake?
Oh, so now again you are saying where is the mistake after I've shown you the mistake, and now you are saying I should leave it for the audience, and now you came back. Where is the mistake? Now look, he's going to do the personal attack here. The verse you quoted, he doesn't say he should.
You are taking like 3 minutes from my time. So,
ladies and gentlemen, you can see the time down there, 8:18. I even paused it before I started protesting against him. He thought the time was still moving, so he said I took 3 minutes. Allah mushrikaga. They don't look. They are never truthful in every aspect of life. So no wonder you see some of them going around congratulating the guy claiming winner. I'm yet to find out which part of the debate is he a winner. Is it the presentation, introduction, rebuttals, cross-examination? I'm going to show you the cross-examination. You'll love it.
Pay attention to that.
We paused the time. No, the time is paused. I didn't take anything. It's paused. I said you made a mistake. That is part of the rule. Put the rule on the screen. Let everybody see the rules.
What is the mistake? That's what I want to hear.
It doesn't say explain it.
I feel like crying, eh?
I love MUSHRIK. Let me show the verse on the screen. And let's see where it says you should explain it.
So, Baba, leave that for those who are learned. You are not.
He said I should leave that for those who are learned. If I'm not learned, why will you do the debate with somebody who is not learned? The MUSHRIK was so confused that he doesn't know what to say. So that he has to
learned in Arabic. Allah is saying that wama anzalna alayka. So you are not even, this is not even a cross-examination. So just leave that, okay?
Oh, now he says it's not cross-examination. I should leave that. He forgot he made a mistake, and I'm only correcting the mistake, not cross-examination. I'm only correcting because the rules, this is what the rule says. The rules clearly says, number 3, no interruption unless if there is a misquotation or mistake by the speaker. This is all I did. Siddik was offended. Yelima Imran and Aganka, God bless you too. This is what I did to Siddiq. Siddik was uncomfortable.
Leave that to your ignorance.
The rules we set is useless. Is that what you're telling me?
Subhanallah. Okay, so the verse you quote that you said, "Thumma inna alayna bayana."
Now he's going to lie against me saying that I said "Summa inna alayna bayana." I didn't quote it like the way you guys quote. I'm not a mushrik like you sectarians. I says "Thumma inna alayna bayanahu." And this is why when I recite the Quran or read the Quran, they get offended because I don't follow their tajweed. I use tajbush. So they get offended. They're like, why is this guy not reciting the Quran well? He has to come and learn tajweed. Tajbush, not tajweed. The scholars have been smoking too much weed, so they love weed so much, so they think tajweed is part of Islam. The Prophet, did he give you anything called tajweed? No, it doesn't exist anywhere. Wallahi, Prophet never gave anybody something called tajweed. So where did you get it from? Your own scholars invent a rule? Oh.
You said, "Thumma inna alayna bayana." Where is bayanahu at the end of the verse?
He says, where is bayanahu at the end of the verse? This is chapter 75 verse. Listen. Chapter 75 verse 19. Siddik exposed himself. He doesn't know the Quran. I'm putting the verse on the screen. Clearly, he's asking me where is bayanahu at the end of the verse. Now check the screen clearly, and I'm going to expose this bozo. Look here. Thumma inna alayna bayanahu. You see who at the end of the verse. Siddik is now asking me where is who at the end of the verse. You heard him clearly, right?
It is how do you call it?
No,
Siddik. Explain it.
Then that is your issue. When he said, you see here, bayanahu. Siddik doesn't know that it has bayanahu there. He thought I was lying when I said, "Summa inna alayna bayanahu." I told you these people don't know the Quran. How can they even talk about the Quran? But when you touch their hadith books, do you see how they get agitated, frustrated? Let's go back to Siddik the Bozo. But please hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo. I want this to trend so badly. I want people to see this breakdown. Hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo. Please do it for me, for the sake of God. If you support me towards God, just like Isa alayhi salam, chapter 61, verse 14, ask the disciples who support me to God, please do the same. Right? Let's expose all the mushriks. Okay. You came to the rebuttal. Why couldn't you address that? You never addressed that.
It's not necessarily in Arabic. When something has been mentioned, a subject has been mentioned, to be
no problem.
At the end. You are ignorant of Arabic.
No. He did the personal attack again. No mockery, no insults, insulting me. You are ignorant. You don't know anything. You are not learned. You don't have a background. We agreed not to do all these things for the sake of respect and people to cherish and then give the values to the debate.
No leave that to the public.
It's okay. Let me play the time.
You have quoted a verse that said, You brought
Siddik.
this. You brought this. You said someone
Hello.
bayana.
Siddik, no problem. Let me play your time. Continue. Now he is now telling me ka good. Siddik. Siddik. Bayan ke za ka yi kabar nin gudu ba babashuaib. Ka tambaya batu na maluma na gudu na. Wallahi. Ka tambaya an gaya ma ni maluma ke gudu na. Your scholars are running away. Wallahi.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said,
let me play the verse. Wait, your time. Wait. So now I play the time for him. He's going to continue.
That is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, when, how do you call it? When indefinite article is used in terms of a condition.
When did Allah says when indefinite article is used? Siddik. So now you have gone to the aspect of making God a grammar, somebody who does grammar. Is it grammaritarian, or how do you say it? Somebody who is specializing in grammar. So he's saying, and God said, when a word is used in this, hey, Siddik BOZO.
It suffices generalization. Wama, and there is nothing that we have sent to you. Anzalna alayka al-kitab.
So that is where he lied, and I caught him red-handed, hands down. So let's go to the part where he will be asking.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the message to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi. Send the dhikr to you. We have sent a reminder.
So now he quoting. Here. The mushriks like to quote this verse.
وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ again.
So that is Quran chapter 16 verse 44.
Allah subhanahu.
I'm going to put it on the screen. We are going to catch him again. He lied again. I love catching the liars, right? That's why I'm called the correctional officer. I will expose them. Broad daylight. Mushrikam banza. Here. Now, check how I'm going to expose Siddik. Siddik is going to cause this verse.
He said,
yeah, thank you, Nuruz Hassan. Thank you.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. And we have sent the dhikr to you.
I only ask Siddik to show me one explicit verse where God says the prophet should teach people the Al-Quran, the word Al-Quran. He went to quote Quran chapter 16 verse 64 out of context. He came again, that verse mentioned Al-Kitab, not Al-Quran. Then he came again, chapter 16 verse 44, it mentions Zikra, not Al-Quran. But listen to what Siddik has to say.
I have sent a reminder to you, لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, so that you explain to the people مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ, what has been sent to them. What?
So God says we are sent the Zikra, and to make known, to make it clear, to bring it out, meaning to make it clear. And I'll give you verses to explain that point. He's lying that he's going to put his understanding that it means the prophet to explain, according to them, the Zikra is the Quran, indirectly, right? So I'm going to show you the lie.
Was sent to mankind was the Quran, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah said he is the one to explain that. Now back to the surah, the verse you use in.
Now let's cross-check his lies. Quran chapter 16 verse 44. So normally they don't quote the verse into context. They leave the verse 43 above, where it starts by saying, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ فَاسْأَلُوا آلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So when you go continue, بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَالزُّبُرِ, then he says, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know where the zikra can be found? Some people usually think zikra is the Al-Quran. It is a wrong perception. If you have that perspective thinking as zikra is the Quran, is indirectly. It is not the Quran. I'm going to show you the answer. You go to Quran chapter 38 verse 1. In Quran chapter 38 verse 1, here, Quran chapter 38 verse 1, I put it on the screen. That is Surah to Swad, right? I'm going to the verse. In Quran chapter 38 verse 1, it says Swad, then it says Wal Quran zi zikr. So let's go one by one. Swad, Wal Qur'ani zi, then we have the az-zikr. You see az-zikr. So what does this Z represent? This Z you see in front here, what it represents is possession. It possesses something. It contains something. So what does it mean? Swad, by the Quran containing the remembrance. That is the zikra. So the Quran contains the zikra. It is wrong to say, you see, this is my wallet. This is my wallet. My wallet contains my bank cards. It is wrong for you to say my bank card is the wallet. It is totally wrong for you to use that speech. That is why Quran chapter 54 verse 17, it says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلْذِكْرِ فَهَلْ مِنْ مُدَّكِّرٍ وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلْذِكْرِ. We have made the Quran easy for the remembrance. So the remembrance is found inside the Quran. So that is why Quran chapter 50 verse 45, God told the prophet, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مَنْ يَخَافُ وَإِيدٍ. The purpose of the zikr is something which brings people to remembrance. So God asked the prophet to use the Quran to remind the people so that they can benefit from the warning of God. So when we say zikr, it is contained in the Quran. Quran possesses it. But it's wrong for you to say the Quran is the zikr. In some aspect of speech, in some figment of speech, fine. Through discussion, you can say, oh, the Quran is zikr. No. But in direct aspect of knowledge, in the Quran, you will never find one verse where God says the Quran is the zikr. No. However, you find zikr in the Quran, just like you find hikmah in the Quran. You find hudan in the Quran. It goes like that. Okay. So now, Siddik is going to lie by saying that God gave the prophet the authority to teach the Quran. So when we go to the verse, we go back to verse chapter 16, verse 44. And I'm going to show you what that verse actually means, right? So chapter 16, verse 44, on the screen, I hope you can see it. On the screen, this is what the verse means. So it says, and we have revealed to you the zikra, the remembrance. You know where the zikra is found, right? In the Quran. It's inside the Quran. That you may make known. If you want to know why it is make known, because something is with you, so you have to bring it out. It's not like you are coming to explain. God has already explained everything in the Quran. Remember, chapter 16, verse 89. وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. So in the Kitab, you find the Al-Quran, chapter 41, verse 3. Kitabun fussilat ayatuhu Qur'anan Arabiyan liqawmi ya'lamun. So inside the Al-Kitab, you find the Al-Quran. So the Al-Quran, who is the teacher? Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran. Who does the bayan? Thumma inna alayna bayanahu. Is God doing the bayan at the same time? So this bayan you find in the Quran. You have to now take what is in the Quran to do the zikr to the people. Take the zikr in the Quran where God is reminding people of issues. Take the Quran, the zikr from the Quran and remind the people. That's what we call zikra. So now God is telling the prophet, and we have revealed, wanzanna ilayka zikra, we have revealed to you the remembrance that you may make known to the people what was revealed to them. Make it known. Let them know the zikr, what God is warning them about. That is why Quran chapter 50 verse 45, God says, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مَنْ يَخَافُ وَإِيدٍ. So he has to take the zikr and give it to the people. Make it known. Now, why am I saying make it known? Go to Quran chapter 3 verse 187. The children of Israel, the people of Al-Kitab, this is exactly the same thing God told them. If you go to Quran here, you see here, Quran chapter 3 verse 187, God says, وَإِذَا أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. You see here, لَتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ لِتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ. Then he says, لِلنَّاسِ. Here, la tubayyinunnahu. And when God took a covenant with those who were given the book, that you shall make it known to the what? People, and do not conceal it. So you see the opposite of making something known has been mentioned. The opposite is what? Taktumunahu. Taktumunahu has been mentioned here. It comes from the word katama. Katama means to hide something, to conceal. So God used the yubin, to bayyununahu here to show you that it has to be made known, not to be hidden. And again, I take you to Quran chapter 2 verse 159. And God is going to expose that issue again. It is not like you are coming to explain. God has already made his book mubin. It's clear already. So Quran chapter 2 verse 159. Inna allazina yakatumuna ma anzalna min al-bayyinati wal-huda min ba'di ma bayyannahu lin-nas fil kitab ulaika yal'anumullah wa yal'anumul la'inun. Indeed, those who conceal, you see the word yakatumuna, it comes from the word katama, which means to hide something, to conceal. What we have revealed of the evidences and the guidance, after that which we have made clear, or we have made what? Known in the book to the people. Those are the ones whom God has cursed, and they are cursed by the curses. So God has already made his book clear. The book, that is why it's called Kitab-i Mubin. That is why it's called Quran and Mubin. It doesn't need you to come and do anything. Yours is just to let it know. So somebody will say, babashuaib, what have you been doing? I'm making it known to the people. A lot of people who listen to me have no idea Quran has explained certain things. So when I make lectures and I bring it out, this is exactly the covenant God took with the people of the book. Make it known to the people, because God has already explained everything. And that is why when you ask me questions, I give you answers from the Quran. That is just the simplicity here. Do you get my point? Okay, let's go back. So let's go back to the Bozo, Siddik Bozo.
Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, yeah, no, that will be under cross-examination, inshallah. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, Inna alayna jama'ahu wa Qur'ana. Then he said,
this we are already done. He messed up.
He said, then it is for us to explain. وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ
This he asked me as a
الْأَسْوَدِ
question.
مِنَ
I've explained already.
the white thread.
He asked me in the cross-examination with this. I answered it already. And remember, this is rebuttals. He was supposed to do rebuttals with whatever I've presented. And still he's struggling because he already used his rebuttals already. Okay.
What is the black thread? Again, he continued to say that because it causes contradiction in the hadith and contradiction in the hadith. Wallahi, I say to them that this is a contradiction in your limited schema, in your outgrowing schema. When things are getting confused in your mind, you think that is the reality. Again, the Quran said to us that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Jesus Christ alayhi salatu wasalam, was not killed. وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُم. He was not killed, he was not crucified, but it appeared to them so. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, by the position of the Muslims, Isa, Jesus Christ, was not killed. He never died, he was never crucified. Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was risen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to himself. The Quran again in Surah Al-Maryam, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he then said, Salamun alayya yawma wulidtu wa yawma amutu wa yawma uba'athu hayya. Peace be upon him, upon me, the day I was born and the day I will die and the day I will be resurrected. Anyone who doesn't have deeper knowledge in the Quran will say that there is a contradiction.
It is not a contradiction. Isa alayhi salam is dead. He's never coming back. I have a lot of lectures I did on that. I have a lot of videos out there, and I'm going to prove it right now. Siddik Bozo, you lack knowledge so bad that you are embarrassing yourself. Can't you humble yourself to study from the correctional officer? But you hate me. You said you've been watching me since 2019, and you still hate me for nothing. It shows that you're arrogant. So let me teach you again for free. Now you said Isa is coming back, right? This is what you said. He said he's going to come back. And you quoted chapter 19, verse 33, just to show that he is saying, peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I'll die, and the day I'll be resurrected alive. Whilst forgetting that Yahya, John the Baptist, was told the same thing. You forgot that. So does that mean John the Baptist is also coming back? Okay, let me help the people to understand what I mean. Quran chapter 19, verse 15. If you want to understand that it's talking about Yahya, you can start from verse 12, right? And I'm going to put it on the screen because the bozos, the mushriks, they don't know the Quran. Zukain. You see here, Yahya, khuz al-kitaba bikuwwat wa atainahu al-hukma sabiyya. So it is talking about Yahya from chapter 19, verse 12. Now, when you go up to verse 15, here, concerning Yahya, you go to verse 15. This is what God says. وَسَلَامٌ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمَ وُلِدَ وَيَوْمَ يَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. It's talking about Yahya. And peace be upon him the day he, Yahya, was born, and the day he will die, and the day he will be resurrected alive. What is the difference between him and Jesus, Isa alayhi salam? The mushriks don't know. So let me help you. Babashuaib is going to help you. We go to verse 33. In verse 33, listen what God is going to say in that verse and compare and see if there's any difference. This is Isa alayhi salam. If you want to know he's talking about Isa, start from verse 30, where Isa alayhi salam says, Qala inni Abdullah atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya. Right? So if you want to know it's Isa, read the whole context. Now, when you come to verse 33, this is what Isa said. He said, Wassalamun alayya yawma wulidtu wa yawma amutu. Then he says, Wa yawma ub'athu hayya, and peace be upon me the day I was born, and the day I will die, and the day I'll be resurrected alive. Ladies and gentlemen, chapter 19, verse 15 is talking about Yahya. Chapter 19, verse 33 is talking about Isa alayhi salam. What shows that Isa is coming? If Isa is coming back, does that mean Yahya is also coming back? Just because they said the same thing. Peace be upon him the day he was born, the day he will die, and the day he will be resurrected alive. Isa was told the same thing. Peace be upon me the day I was born. Peace be upon me the day I will die. Peace be upon me the day I will be resurrected alive. What's the difference between him and Yahya? But the mushriks, because they don't understand, when they quote a verse from the Quran, then they foolishly tell you they are garbage books who explain the Quran. Afala takilu. Oh, Allah, mushrikanga. Siddik, what do you have to say? Siddik, please say something. Say something.
I feel like crying, eh?
Allah, mushrikanga.
The ayah in the Quran where Allah said that, and we have not left anyone forever before you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, meaning anyone who came before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam died. So this is the position of the Ahmadiyya, that Isa alayhi salatu wasallam also died. They find it to be contradictory, and therefore they find their way out. So if you are going to use the same limited schema, the same shallow mind to measure the hadith, that's what you're going to say, contradiction.
We are not saying it. Isa is dead. He's gone. If you go to Quran chapter 32, verse 11, God talks about the angel of death in whose hand you are placed. He's the one to cause your death. And I'm going to put the verse on the screen because I need to teach the mushriks for free. I know you believers, you already know the Quran. So let me teach the mushriks for free. If you go to Quran chapter 32, verse 11, Kul yatawaffakum malakul mauti lazi wukkila bikum thumma ila rabbikum turja'un. You see the word yatawaffakum. Automatically, when you see this in this context, it means you'll be caused to die. Yatawaffakum, because your soul goes back to God. So it is the tawaf you are doing. God is taking the soul. Yatawaffa. So the angel of death, you see the context, who has been assigned with you will cause you to die. So this yatawaffa in this context is about death. Then you will be returned to your Lord. So Isa, did he die or not? So let's go and check. Quran chapter 3, verse 55. Did Isa die or not? Quran chapter 3, verse what? Oh, sorry. Verse 55, right? This is Quran chapter 3, verse 5. This is what God said. Check the verse. Is call Allahu ya Isa inni mutawaffika. You see the verse? Inni mutawaffika wa rafi'uka ilayya. You see it? Wa mutahhiruka min allazina kafaru wa ja'ilu allazina taba'uka fawqa allazina kafaru ila yawm al-qiyamah. Then he says thumma ila marji'ukum fa'ahkum bainakum fima kuntum fihi taktalifun. So the verse here is saying, then God said, oh Jesus, indeed I will cause you to die, mutawaffika. I will cause you to die and raise you to me. Because automatically when your soul is taken by the angel of death, you go back to God. But mushriks will keep telling you Isa is coming back. To do what? If you want to know he's not coming back again, go to Quran chapter 5, verse 16, verse 116 to 118. You understand? Right? If he's coming back to which country? And which color? And to which family? And to which people? What is he coming to do? Allah, this mushriks. Allah, they are condemned. Okay. So to save time, let me move on.
The same thing people like you, the Ahmadis, are doing with the Quran. Contradiction.
Siddik, you are not making sense. He's just waffling here. So let's go.
Now again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, he mentioned that about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, he is the one that raised, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا. He is the one that raised from the people of Makkah, that's the Ummiyin, رسولا منهم, from among them, يتلو عليهم آياته, reciting the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the ayat of Allah to them. يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم, and he purifies them. ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة, and then he teaches them the kitab, which we all believe that is the Quran.
You see how he translated the verse, which we all believe that is the Quran. So this is the foolishness there. You all believe. Is that what God said? If I'm teaching you Al-Kitab, does it necessarily mean I'm teaching you the Quran? No. Al-Kitab has to do with kataba. You have been taught the writing of the book. So I teach you the book. Then inside the book, God is the one to teach you the Quran. That is the difference. The foolish mushriks don't understand this. They keep twisting words, just like they twist Rasul and Nabi. Same, they do twist Kitab and Quran. And correctional officer is helping you free of charge, and you are still offended. Please, hashtag RIP Siddik BOZO. Please, hashtag University of Ghana. Come and watch your lecturer.
Al-Hikmah and wisdom. Now pause here. They said the Prophet used to,
he said we should pause here. We are going to pause.
Teach them knowledge. يعلمهم. He teaches them. He teaches them. Then what does he teach them? Kitab, the book.
Did God say he teach them Quran? You see the foolish mushrik. He doesn't know the difference. Did God say he's teaching them the Quran? Oh, so God, Siddik, according to you, God forgot to say, he's teaching them wa yu'allimuhumul Quran. God should have said that. Siddik, unfortunately, God never said wa yu'allimuhumul Quran. BOZO.
The Quran, wal hikmah, and the wisdom. Anyone at all who have studied critical thinking or has studied information studies should go and check for the meaning of knowledge and wisdom.
Oh, so now we go to information studies to go and find the meaning of knowledge. Oh, I thought the prophet was the Mufassir. He has explained in your garbage books for you the meaning of knowledge and wisdom. Subhanallah. So, and this is where they go to the issue of constantly as scholars. They will say Ibn Kathir says, Ibn Abbas says, Muwatta says, Al-Tabari says, Jalalain says, Allah now he says anybody, you can go and check the meaning of knowledge and wisdom. Okay, let's listen to Siddik.
Knowledge is the understanding of information.
So now it's no more the prophet giving him the meaning. We agreed in the rules that you have to back up your this thing with tangible evidence. So you see rule number 5, every statement will be backed up by tangible evidences or sources of information. Now let's go back to Siddik the BOZO.
Is the understanding of when to place this knowledge, where and how.
So Siddik is explaining wisdom to us.
Is wisdom. When you know something and you know that I'm supposed to place this at this position and that in this position at this very time, that is wisdom. And that
is that what your scholars taught you, Siddik? You didn't quote your scholars at the debate. You didn't say that's what your scholars taught you. Where did you get this definition from? Okay, let's go to the dictionary, because since you are using your head, we don't believe you, the BOZO. So let's go to the dictionary and see what even wisdom means. Is that what wisdom actually means? What you define? Oh, Siddik. Siddik, let me help you here, because you don't even know the meaning of wisdom. Oh, Siddik. Allah, Siddik BOZO. Okay, wisdom. I'm going to help you out, Siddik. Let's help Siddik out. The meaning of wisdom, right? Okay. Wisdom and wisdom. So Siddik, since you refuse to use your scholars to tell us the meaning of wisdom, babashuaib is now going to use the dictionary to tell you, Siddik, the meaning of wisdom. that what you just said has nothing to do with wisdom. It shows us again you lack wisdom, Siddik Bozo. So now I'm going to put it on the screen here. Now, Siddik, let's check the meaning of wisdom. You just defined the meaning of wisdom, and that is not wisdom. So let's check what wisdom means, right? Let me put it on the screen. Wisdom. Wisdom, wisdom, where are you? Wisdom. Now, this is wisdom. Do you see wisdom here? Okay, accumulated knowledge, erudition, or enlightenment. Accumulated knowledge. The Quran, remember, Quran brought you knowledge, right? So you have wisdom there. Then the trait of utilizing knowledge and experience with common sense and insight. So the Quran brought you al-hikmah. You find it there. I'll show you where the hikmah is. Ability to apply knowledge, experience, understanding, or common sense and insight. So we find all this in the Quran. The quality of being prudent and sensible. Quran teach you sense, not the garbage books. The hadith books tells you to breastfeed adult male. I'll show you the verse from the hadith books where it says they should breastfeed adults. As an evidence, you see it. Now, this is wisdom according to the mainstream understanding. Siddik wasn't able to go back to the hadith books to show us what the hikmah means. He didn't do that. He left his scholars, he threw them under the bus, so they are in limbo. So let's go back to Siddik.
He is the guide to the Quran. He's the teacher of the Quran, and that is what he did.
And he didn't back any verses to that. He says he is the guide of the Quran, and he is the teacher. God has this title. God is the teacher. Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran. He is the teacher of the Quran. Chapter 55, verse 1 to verse 2. And who is the guide of the Quran? Who is the guide? I'm going to show you here. Quran chapter what? 25, verse 31. Quran chapter 25, verse 31. So let's see who is the guide here. And I share the screen, right? Let me show you. I share the screen. This is the verse. وكذلك here وكذلك جعلنا لكل نبي عدوا من المجرمين وكفى بربك هاديا ونصيرا. And thus have we made for every prophet enemies among the criminals, but sufficient is what? Your Lord as a guide and a helper. So if God is sufficient as a guide, Siddik, Bozo, emotional mushrik, you are telling us Prophet Muhammad is the guide, and God is telling him clearly God is sufficient as a guide. So we should leave God to go to another guide who himself cannot guide anybody unless God guides him. Quran chapter 10 verse 35, right? Or chapter 10 verse 32, or chapter 10 verse 35, right? Okay, so let's go to save time. Let me take you to this part where Siddik is just
from the time the beginning of Islam, the hikmah here, the majority of the Muslim generation and the scholars, the real scholars, not the Google scholars, they have explained, they have translated the hikmah here to be the teachers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi.
Which scholars? He never quote anyone for us. He didn't mention any of the names. Is it who are the scholars you are talking about? Is it Ibn Kathir? Who are the Tafasirs? Or who? You didn't give us. You are the debate. He forgot where he was. So we are in the debate. You have to present that and show the evidence. And this is according to this scholar, according to this ulama, according to this Sahaba, according to the Prophet. I thought you said the Prophet is the one explaining the Quran. You are there to show us that the Hadith is explaining the Quran. So you couldn't prove to us from your Hadith how Hadith explain what hikmah is. Babashuaib is going to show you how the Quran explains what hikmah is.
To be the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So
he says the scholars explain hikmah to be the sunnah of the Prophet. Hey, this mushrik. He didn't even go to Qurtubi. Thank you, Balogu. He didn't go to Qurtubi. He didn't go to Qurtubi to help you. So Babashuaib is going to help you. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking you to a verse where Isa alayhi salam himself, Isa alayhi salam, Quran chapter what? 43, verse 63. Check what Isa told his people. This verse, right? وَلَمَّا جَاءَ إِيسَى بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ قَالَ قَدْ جِئْتُكُمْ بِالْحِكْمَةِ. This is what Isa told his people. I have come to you with hikmah. Then he says, وَلِي أُبَيِّنَ لَكُمْ أبين لكم بعد الذي تختلفون فيه واتقوا الله وأطيعوني. So أطيعوني. So this is أطيعون, right? Now this is what the verse is. And when Jesus brought proofs, he said, I have brought you wisdom, the hikmah. So does that mean Isa brought them the sunnah? Does that mean Isa brought them hadith, garbage books? Is that what it means? This is the hikmah in the Quran. Even Isa brought it to his people. So this hikmah is sunnah. So where is the sunnah of Jesus? We are waiting. Mushriks, bring it to us. The sunnah of Jesus. Quran chapter 4 verse 54 tells us that even Ibrahim and his family were given the kitab and the hikmah. So this hikmah, you said your scholars translate it as sunnah. So are you saying we can find the sunnah of Ibrahim in the Quran? Then come and show us, in your hadith, then come and show us the sunnah. If they all have hadith books, come and show us all of these books, jumbles of books, right? So where do we find the hikmah? Hikmah is in the Quran. Quran chapter 17 verse 39. It is part of what God has inspired to Prophet Muhammad, and you find it in the Quran. You don't go outside the Quran to find it. You are a fool if you think al-hikmah is outside the book of God. So Quran chapter 17 verse 39. ذَلِكَ مِمَّا أَوْحَى إِلَيْكَ رَبُّكَ مِنَ الْحِكْمَةِ. Zalika, and this Zalika denotes whatever God mentioned above. Start from chapter 17 verse 22. Read up to verse 39. God says, Zalika mimma awha ilayka rabbuka min al-hikma wala taj'al ma'allahi ilahan akhara fatulka fi jahannama maluman mazhura. So this is where you find hikmah. So God says that is from what your Lord has inspired to you, Muhammad, of the what? Al-hikmah, the wisdom. So do not assign another God with the God, then you will be cast into hell, blamed and defeated. This is where you find hikmah. You don't need to go to any garbage book as this BOZO, Siddik, BOZO is telling you. You have failed, basa Siddik. Now let's move to the last part where I'll bring the hadith concerning breastfeeding. Then we will move on to the next part. Okay. So here,
that to say that the Prophet ﷺ is the teacher of the Quran, like I've given to you, Allah said, we have not given you a verse in the book except that you are the one to explain. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, he has revealed a dhikr to the Prophet ﷺ to make to explain. Now we don't wait for you or people like you who are.
You see, he keep putting the word explain. This is what he kept doing. He kept lying, explain. This is what they all
anywhere. Now you mentioned that you have studied classical Arabic. What you didn't mention is where you studied it and from whom.
We came to do debate. I'm not there to tell you personally about myself. That's not the idea of the debate. To come to showboating or show off, to tell people I did this, I went to this scholar, this is where I studied, so that you get word from that. I don't get it. Quran chapter 16 verse 103. This is the same thing the people of Muhammad did. They said they know that it is a human being teaching him. Why couldn't they show which human being was teaching him? Where is the evidence? So if God has endowed somebody with knowledge and is presenting, why are you so interested with who taught the person? What is wrong with the mushrik's logic? I don't get it.
You studied it. You have no background in the Quran, no background in how do you call it, in the Arabic language. But then you claim to be a scholar, which you leave all this, the teachers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And again, Siddik doesn't know the meaning of a scholar. When we say a scholar, alim, somebody who is learned, he doesn't know the meaning of a scholar. If I'm not learned, I cannot even talk about the Quran. I cannot do debates. I cannot bring evidences and proof. That's what a scholar means. A learned person by a long time. Right? So you gain experience for a long time in the field you practice. That is what makes a person a scholar.
We should leave the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leave the teachings of the Sahaba, and come to someone who has no basis in Arabic nor the Quran or the Hadith to come and listen to, saying that the Quran, this verse explains this verse. So inshallah.
So you see, he was talking against me with hatred. He hated me so much that he has to, spew all his hatred against me, attacking me. So this guy forgot that we are at the debate front. He forgot.
Without wasting of my time is almost up. So inshallah, I'll pause it here.
So then his time was up. So this is Siddik, this is the rebuttals, and this is what he came to present, forgetting himself, right? Now, to save time, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you want me to continue for till 3 hours, or you want me to come tomorrow and do the rest of the video where I will talk about the cross-examination, right? Then let me know. Write in the comment section if you want me to continue this program tomorrow. But if you want me to continue right now, where I talk about the cross-examination, we can do it at least 3 hours and then we end the program. But other than that, if you want me to continue tomorrow, I will make room for tomorrow. Then we can feel comfortable again. Then we continue with the rest so that you have everything into detail. Because if right now I have to finish it, you know, I might skip certain things. So if you want it, please write in the comment section. Please write in the comment section. Then I'll continue it tomorrow. Then I'll have enough time to bring every detail in the cross-examination. So kindly, let's vote. Please, I want to see the majority here. Please let me know tomorrow or today. Because today I'll be skipping faster. Tomorrow I will have enough time to finish it so that we crash this person once and for all, right? So that we can let this one trend very, very much. So hashtag RIP Siddik BOZO, please. Hashtag. Now I agree with you tomorrow so that I can finish with the cross-examination, because then I will have enough energy, enough time, go into details. That is why you saw me starting from introduction, representation, presentation. Then I want to rebuttals. I don't want to leave anything out. I want to crash this guy. He's never coming back again, right? So since you all agree tomorrow, inshallah, tomorrow, same time that I started, we are coming here again. We are going to talk about the cross-examination. And I'm going to show you everything from the hadith books, everything he lied about by calling me a liar, going against the rules of the debate. I'm going to expose everything, right? I'm going to show them I'm intelligent more than their scholars and even their top scholars or their dead scholars, inshallah. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the correctional officer. This is the cross-examination we are going to talk about tomorrow. Now, this is the rebuttals we just ended with, right? You saw everything clearly. I showed you step by step. I don't want it to be so long, then you'll be exhausted watching it. Now, take your time. Watch this program for yourself. Play it back. You see every detail Siddik was lying about. Every detail. So, and don't forget to keep hashtagging Siddik BOZO or hashtag RIP Siddik BOZO, because I want all his scholars, all his people to see, and hashtag University of Ghana, right? This guy says he knows English. He's a lecturer. He's a graduate. He's not qualified. I'm sorry to say. He doesn't know English. He doesn't know how to follow rules. And this guy is saying he's an aspiring. He wants to be a politician. Oh my God. If this guy is a politician, there's a problem in the world. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Imagine a Salafi already. He's a Salafi promoting terrorism, promoting violence. I'm not saying this against him. He has it on his page. You know it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And before I end, I'm going to play again the video from the BOZO again. Then you get to see the exact things that got him frustrated. And this is just a hint from what is coming in the cross-examination tomorrow that I'm going to do. This video I'm going to play. Siddik was so frustrated. He was emotionally decapitated. He was emotionally uncomfortable. He nearly cried, and you know, he couldn't handle himself. He couldn't sit. I played it in the beginning, and I'm going to play it again. So, ladies and gentlemen, watch this, and then we will bring this topic to an end. And then tomorrow we continue with the part 2 of the what? Of the post-debate checkup on what? On the emotional MUSHRIK. So before I go, I will just say some few shout outs to thank you to Jis the Realers, Baba Sedu, thank you, Musa Khan, thank you all, Balogun Raf, Siddik Ali Sharian, writing Naganka, Zamani Badiu, I see you, Limani Imrana, Tariq Ayub, all of you, Marwan Divaj, Abdul Karim Swali. Thank you all for being here. Kais Najat, Alan Jengis, Alma Johnson, Bilal Jibril, Salis Jimmy, I see you all. Fatima Chin, Mawia YSG, my sister Jamila, I know you are watching. Abdul Salam Ali, thank you all for coming. I play this video before I end this topic for today. Then tomorrow we continue same time, inshallah. You are going to enjoy the cross-examination, inshallah. So, ladies and gentlemen, Subhana Rabbi Izzati Amma Yasifun wa salamu ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. This is the correctional officer, me, myself, and I, babashuaib. Let's support the truth and go to God, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to enjoy this show. Okay. So here, this book of Salat, you can see here, they say the book of Salat, right? The prayer. Now, this is Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari 349, narrated by Abu Dhar. He said, Allah's messenger said, whilst I was at Makkah.
No. Please read the text itself. Read the text itself, not translation. Read the text itself.
Siddik, listen to me carefully. I'm a questioner. You don't tell me how to question you.
No. You are dealing with the hadith. What you are reading is not hadith.
Show me in the rules where we said somebody.
Is it not hadith you are reading?
I said, Siddik, listen to logic here. Show me.
There's no logic in what you are doing.
Rules. Show me in the rules where it says I must read your hadith book in Arabic. Tell me.
The hadith is Arabic. The hadith is Arabic.
I said, show me in the rules.
We didn't also say that we are going to read translation. So just if you are quoting hadith,
I'm a questioner. Are you going to teach me how to question you?
Is the translation hadith? Is the translation a hadith?
Siddik, are you going to teach me how to question you?
You are questioning me on the hadith and you are not saying the hadith.
Can you shut your beak? Let me talk. Let me finish my question.
Okay, the simple guy, as you can see, he cannot read the Arabic again.
No problem. I've never been to school, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot read. Let the wise decide for themselves. I'm going to read the comedy book. See it for yourself. Can you mute your mic, please?
He cannot read. So continue with your
translation.
I don't believe that is the hadith. So
no problem.
I don't believe what you are reading is hadith. So you can't ask me a question on that.
When you come, you read it to your people and then tell them if I'm lying. Can you mute your mic? Let me make my point.
Go ahead.
Okay. So their own translation is translated by their own Sunni scholar, Muhsin Khan, right? Muhammad Muhsin Khan. This is a translation. So when he comes to answer, let him read all these jumbles here and explain it. So now this is here, narrated by Abu Dhar. He says, Allah's messenger said, this is God forbid. God's messenger will never say this garbage thing here. Wallahi lazim.
Go ahead with your question. You are not lecturing. You are not lecturing. Go ahead with your question.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm reading the question.
Ask the question and stop lecturing.
Siddik, why are you interrupting me? I don't understand.
You are lecturing instead of asking a question. So that is it.
You came preaching instead of a debate. You were preaching earlier when we
started. Go ahead. Simple. Go ahead with the question. Go ahead.
Jama, look at what is going on here.
You have the platform. Go ahead with the question.
But Siddik, don't interrupt me.
So go ahead with the question. I will interrupt you if you deviate. That is part of the.
Are you upset with the hadith or me?
Go ahead, ask question and don't give lectures. Simple.
Can you stop interrupting? Then I can read.
So read.
Please mute your mic for the sake of argument. When you are talking, I mute my mic. Can you mute your mic?
Read. Go ahead. Siddik, I'm not talking.
Mute your mic.
It is said in the rules, simple, that when you deviate, you'll be brought back to correction.
Mute your mic.
That is not part of the rule. So read.
Subhanallah. Siddik is upset with the hadith. Okay, no problem.
I feel like crying,
Allah MUSHRIK.